I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here in the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos. Very pleased now to be joined by Laura Liswood. She's the Secretary General of the Council of Women World Leaders. Have I got that right?
Perfect.
Okay. Tell me why you're here in Davos.
You know, I'm in Davos and have been for a fair number of times. Interested in women's leadership, interested in the issues around getting this onto the main stage, if you will, the challenges that women face, getting more of a perspective, a gender perspective on topics. So that's been a kind of a goal here. And
Is it a challenge, or do you see that there's some response? Because it seems like women have been around for a long time, and it feels like these issues have been around for a long time, and yet we're still talking about them.
We are, aren't we? Yeah, right. And sort of in my old age here, I'm saying, put a quote on it, forget it.
Right.
Just do that. But I think it has to be more sophisticated than that as an issue. But we have, and yes, progress has been made. It's slower than I think a lot of us anticipated. And so part of why I'm here also is to try to figure out how to hurry history. Speed things up a bit.
Speed things on. So what are some of the things that you mentioned, quotas, and there's a bit of a quota on how companies trying to encourage companies to bring top-level women here as well. But what are some of the things that you see that could be done in order to encourage women's leadership, women more participation in corporate government life?
Yeah, I think that there are a number of tools one can use. Quotas happens to be one of those, and I think we're beginning to see some of the impact of that. It's still a little too, it's like when Ho Chi Minh was asked, what was the effect of the French Revolution? He said, it's too soon to tell.
Right.
So, I think the quota thing might be a little too soon to tell as to all of that. But I think it comes with the research and the information. So what kind of data do we have now that shows that when you put 3 women on a board, something good happens with that, the return on investment might improve. When women are more involved in the political process, trust in government goes up. There's all sorts of research now, and so making that known, I think. Clearly, most of these people who are coming, the men who are coming, are business leaders. They're global business leaders. There's a war for talent. They know there's a war for talent. They have to get the best and the brightest, for themselves. And the best and the brightest come in very diverse packages.
Right.
Yeah. And so kind of the business case for women is also part of how one approaches this kind of thing. And for me also, I've written a book on this, on diversity, called The Loudest Duck.
Okay.
I can explain why I come to that title. But there's a lot of it in that about how we still bring a lot of unconsciousness about whose roles are what, and what are the archetypes that we have, and what does the media teach us about our roles in life. And there's still a lot of, I call grandma, what grandma taught us.
Right. Yeah. Tell me why the loudest duck. I'm dying to know.
Now you know. Yeah, now you know. All right. It's basically, as I said, what grandma taught us.
Right.
So in the case of, for example, American men, grandma taught American men the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Right. Speak up, you get what you want. And you often see that dynamic. Grandma taught the Japanese, the nail that sticks out gets hit on the head. Don't you dare speak up. Right. Women are often taught, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. And the Chinese are taught, the loudest duck gets shot. So you have these diverse organizations, right? They're global. And you're sitting in a meeting, and you have a wheel, a duck, a nail, and an ice in your meeting. And you wanted your diversity, right? The only person talking is the wheel.
Right.
And then management goes, wheel, good idea. Oh, wheel, good idea. We have a promotion to give. Let's give it to the wheel. And so the phrase is, we hire for difference, and then we fire because they're not the same.
Quite a lot to think about
Quite
there.
a lot to think about.
So I'm interested, there's been a lot of studies. You mentioned the number of, there's a study about when you put women on boards, companies do better. There's studies about women entrepreneurs in the States, in the UK, across Europe. When you invest in women, the businesses last longer. They are sometimes more slower to grow, but they in fact grow more. So why do we not see as much investment in women if all the evidence says you should do it if you want a good return, especially in these economic times?
Yeah, that's a really valid question because as you say, the World Bank knows that if you invest in a girl's education, fertility rates go down, income levels go up, health of families go up. If you give $1 to a woman, she's going to invest it in health care and an education for family, et cetera. If you give it to a man, with all due respect, the dollar goes to consumable goods. Let's just put it that way. Thing. So we know this kind of thing, and a lot of policy is now starting to be shaped like that. But don't forget, when we're talking about being a member of the dominant group, right? That's about power, isn't it? Now, I haven't met anyone who voluntarily gives up power. I haven't met anyone who's the CEO of an organization who says, man, who's at the top of an organization, says, I got to the top of this organization because I was subtly advantaged.
Right.
Who says that?
Right.
They say it's a meritocracy and only the best get to the top. Even though, Malcolm Gladwell's got an interesting statistic in the United States. 16% of men in the United States are 184 centimeters or taller, 6 foot 2 inches or taller. Okay, 16%. But then when they measure the height of Fortune 500 male CEOs, 57% are 6 foot 2 inches or taller, 184 centimeters. That's 3 times the cohort. I have yet to see any good research that correlates leadership ability and skeletal structure.
Very good point.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. Thanks so much for popping into Hub Culture in Davos at the Pavilion, and I'm Edie Lush.